From the shores of Malibu, where the waves are pumping, to the Great Wall of China, and back to the world's greatest arena, Madison Square Garden in New York City, where the UFC is coming. We are live. This is It's Time Radio, the show where we talk about what you think about, but may be afraid to voice. Do not worry. We will voice it for you. We talk about everything on It's Time: sex, drugs, rock and roll, politics, UFC, film, TV. It's all happening here, folks. And this week, there's a lot to talk about. So I'm here with my co-host and my producer and my friend. And I can say a lot of other things, but I'll keep it all under the hat.
Hey, I appreciate you keeping it PC, Buff.
You got it. TJ Santis. TJ, how are you? What's going on?
I'm good. I'm getting ready to make my way out to the Big Apple tomorrow morning. Flight leaves LAX at 6 a.m. So should get there by early to mid-afternoon. And yeah, I don't know. There's something special about this time of year. Something special about going to New York City, and like you said, the world's most famous arena in Madison Square Garden, and it shall be done, as John Anik says.
Well, you know, it's really special this time of year. It's fall, right?
I know. It actually
most
feels
beautiful
like
time
fall.
of year there is. Yeah.
Yeah, I went up to Lake Arrowhead here in Southern California yesterday, and
Right.
Bruce, I was cold, like actually cold. It
Yeah.
was 47 degrees once night fell.
I know. You know, here, listen, I'm here by the beach in SoCal. You're in
Right.
SoCal. We're starting to feel it here. I'm starting to see the fall.
Yeah.
We've got rain coming this next 3 days. Weather's crazy all over. Hurricanes are going to be hitting Florida again. Now they're under big hurricane watch. You know, you got to ask yourself, as great a place to live as Florida is,
Yeah.
saving taxes and all the other stuff that goes
Sure.
with it. I've been down there in 60, 70 mile an hour winds, you know, when the hurricane was coming.
Right.
I couldn't even imagine what it's
Yeah.
like when the hurricane is happening.
I mean, I hate to say this. I have, like we all do. You know, we're network of people. We all have friends and family at bare minimum acquaintances who live in Florida. So I always, hearts and thoughts and prayers and everything for everyone that is out there going through tough times, whether it's from the last hurricane or potentially an impending one. But I will say this: if I were to ever own property there, Bruce, like I would always have to have it in the back of my mind that it's temporary at
Yep.
best. It's temporary because it's going to get hit. Might not be for 20 years, might not be, for 2 months, but eventually it's going to have to be subjected to some pretty horrendous weather.
Well, there's a number of areas in the United States that you got to think like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, New Orleans is one of them.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the whole entire Gulf region.
Even when I grew up, and I've talked about it many times in the Gulf region, exactly.
Yeah.
Even when I've talked about it on the show, growing up in Malibu since 1972. I mean, I've been through every major brush fire that's been there, and we knew it was going to hit like every 6, 7 years.
It's going to burn. It has to burn. I mean, I hate to say that it has to, but it's going to. Just the climate that we're in, and it's almost unfortunate. Like you said, it's going to rain here the next couple of days. It's almost unfortunate when we're in those winter months when we get a lot of rain here in Southern California, because it's just going to translate to a higher fire risk. Because everything grows and explodes during this time of year when we get that rain.
Yeah, absolutely. So batten down the hatches, people.
Yeah.
All I can say.
But I mean, that's the thing too. I'm from the Midwest, Bruce. I grew up, and if it wasn't the massive amount of snowfall that will get you, it was the deep freezing temperatures that will get you. So, like, every area of this country has, some negatives. I mean, also, I'm not even mentioning the F5 tornadoes that will descend upon the Midwest at a moment's notice.
Oh, I know. I remember when I was a kid. I was born in when I was a kid. I don't remember this actually. I was born in Oklahoma.
Right.
Dropped off. I lived there for 9 months, but a tornado came through our backyard.
Yeah.
Didn't hurt the house, but wiped out the backyard.
And that's a problem. Like, a tornado is like so unpredictable. My wife's grandmother had a farm in Iowa, and there were 6 or 7 buildings on the lot, and 4 of them were knocked down, 3 of them remained, and the house had to be torn down because it was picked up ever so slightly off of its foundation and then just sat down like a quarter of an inch. But because it moved off its foundation, you had to tear it down.
Yep. It's crazy. Mother Nature is really interesting. Another couple examples of things that are happening. The Niagara Falls.
Mm-hmm.
They just discovered a 2198 foot front tunnel, 670 meter tunnel that was built more than a century ago on the Canadian side.
Like underneath the falls?
Underneath the falls, and it's been opened up. beneath the gigantic triple waterfall that straddles the border between New York and Canada.
So what were they smoggling through there back in the day?
God only knows.
Booze?
Well,
Probably
actually,
booze, right?
they're claiming it's a bit of a power. I guess it was like a power station. Had to do with a power station that
Sure,
provided
but like
operated for a while. No, the
you
power
know,
station diverted water,
right.
through this huge region.
But then how did they forget about it?
Yeah,
You know
how
what
do
I
you forget
mean?
about something like that?
That's what I'm saying. Like someone must have been using it for something.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy. Listen, what are you going to do today beyond anything else you're going to do today? Because Powerball is at a record 1.9 billion. Now, this is before the show's being posted. And
Right.
hopefully somebody, either one of us or both of us, or
Right.
we could
Let,
share it with everybody else that bought it.
let,
1.9 billion. Somebody won $1 billion like a month ago, I think it was.
oh, it had to be more than a month ago because
Or more. It was like
it
in the
takes a
last couple
long
months.
time. Well, it takes a
Somebody won
long
$1 billion.
yeah, but not for the Powerball. It takes a long time for the Powerball to get this.
But this is one of the other lotteries that are out there.
Sure. Yeah. That's right. Something other than the Powerball. But like what I'm saying here, Bruce, is like, let this be the last documented time where we are together when we're just a couple of schlups. Next time people see us, we'll be billionaires.
Hey, you know what? You can take the jet, land in the backyard of the new home, and
Yeah.
we'll do the podcast.
Perfect. Perfect. I'll buy us a ticket today. So you owe me $1 after today, and we'll split the revenue 50-50.
All right, sounds good. Let's go into some interesting things in the news. I know we have one of the biggest UFCs ever happening this weekend. Is it always one of the biggest UFCs ever? We'll get into that a little bit. Let's talk about some news and some things going on, and then we'll end the show with the UFC talk. Uh, Elon Musk, he bought Twitter,
Right.
right? And I read where Twitter was losing something like 6 or 7 million a day.
Right. Well, they're going to start getting that money back because guys like you and I are going to have to pay for our blue check mark if we want to keep it.
Now that's what I understand. So explain that to me now.
I mean, I haven't really heard anything other than
I heard there's like a subscription fee they're talking about.
yeah, and I think it's something like $19 a month if you want to keep.
I heard $6.99, $7.99. Again,
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I mean, that's a little more affordable. I'm of two minds on this, Bruce. I think that it's kind of crazy to charge your customers that are verified because they're quote unquote people of prominence that use your service. That at the same time, I worked really hard to get my check mark, and I actually I can say his name. I don't care. Bobby Green, the former UFC athlete, got really upset with me because someone had a parody account using my likeness and was saying bad things about Bobby Green when he fought Donald Cerrone. And Bobby Green to this day still won't talk to me because I think he believes that the person that was going after him on Twitter was actually me, and it wasn't. So that was sort of the catalyst for me to get my blue check mark. And because I never really had a reason to want it prior to that. But if it was going to cost me relationships with athletes at the time that I needed for my job, I needed to get that blue check mark. And I finally got it. And now the idea that I have to pay for it, it just seems kind of, crazy.
Yeah, well, quite frankly, I have no problem because it's going to be $8 a month. That's the fee.
So I'll pay that simply because
I'll pay it for
I
one
don't,
reason. I have imposters on Twitter.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like I
And
don't want
I want people to know that I'm the real guy.
right. And yeah, I almost wish that there was a way just like standardized social media would go ahead and verify people that way. Like that's the way it's supposed to be. But it's like this is what bothers me about it. And maybe you can talk to your buddy Mark Zuckerberg about this next time you see him at
Yeah, I'll give Mark a
the
call
Apex. I'm verified on Twitter, but I'm not verified on Instagram. And when I try to get verified on Instagram, they say I don't meet the criteria for X, Y, and Z. But it's just
Well,
like,
that's kind of insulting.
well, I just don't understand how like you can look at my Twitter bio and see that it's verified. Like, why would it not be worthwhile to verify it? Like, if you're going to review it on, because that's the thing I really don't like about Instagram. If you're going to apply for verification on Instagram, you have to send them the documents based on if you would qualify. So I have to send them like a documentation of my passport. And it's like, well, if you're going to review the information and then say no to me, why don't you just review the information and say yes? Because all I'm trying to do is say, hi, I'm TJ DeSantis. Here's the proof that I'm TJ DeSantis. Just verify the damn thing.
Everybody's got their system, TJ. Just got to work with the system.
But Bruce, like you look at my Instagram and it's like all photos of things I'm doing with the UFC, UFC Fight Pass. It's like clearly I'm doing something in the public spotlight. Like,
listen, Instagram is my favorite of all the social medias that I like to post at. Just for me, it's just easy. You know, I get approached by so many new social medias. I'm sure you do, and I'm done. Don't even go there.
No,
Twitter, Facebook,
dude,
Instagram, I'm done.
so I do.
TikTok, Ticky Wick Talk, whatever.
I
You
don't
know,
care about that. I do
I don't care
Twitter and
about that.
Instagram and like my Facebook. I try to keep personal for my family.
Yeah,
It's like
no, and
I'm
you
not.
do.
Yeah, I'm not accepting any Facebook friends from people I don't know.
Well, those of you that follow me on Facebook, and I appreciate all your responses, but just know that I'm not a big responder to comments and otherwise on any of them to a large extent. I mean, occasionally I do, but please, if you're disappointed I didn't respond, it's not anything personal. Don't take it personal. Let's get back to Twitter again. Elon Musk paid $44 billion for Twitter, right?
Billion with a B, damn.
Billion. Twitter's $13 billion in debt. Okay.
Okay, so that's what $57 billion that he's into this thing. If you take the debt on,
Well, we paid $44 billion and assume the $13 billion in debt. That's $57 billion when you think about it.
Yeah,
Okay, unless part of the $44 billion paid off the $13 billion, whatever the case
I
might
doubt
be.
he paid it off. You usually write that debt.
With all the debt and everything else, it costs $1 billion a year in interest to pay the loans.
Okay.
Okay, so just however he's going to pay it off, whether it's like a mortgage or whatever the case might be. Now he started firing a bunch of people. I think a layoff of like 3,700 employees, right?
How
But now
big?
there's now the word is he's hiring people back.
Well, I mean, he's going to have to. Like, how? Well, I mean, that's the thing. Were the layoffs because he wanted to get rid of people, or were the layoffs because he wanted to dump salary? And now he's rehiring people at a lower salary. That would make sense.
I would say, knowing how I've worked with companies in the past, probably analyzing the company, he laid off employees. There's a lot of fat that
Right.
needed to be trimmed.
Right.
Right. And it's the old story. If you give somebody 8 hours to do a 4-hour job, they're going to take 8 hours. If you give them 4 hours to do an 8-hour job, they're going to get it done in 4 hours if it means their job. So he has his way of managing it. But he basically laid off half the company. Right.
Right.
And now he's taking people back. So it's not that there's an issue here of mishmash, doesn't know what anybody's doing. He's trying to get it, as brilliant as this man is running business, he's trying to get it to become a very sustainable business.
Well,
So
what's interesting to me, and I guess I don't know how this works, but like Twitter was a publicly traded company.
yes,
It is no longer a publicly traded company.
that's weird when you think
How does
about it.
that work? Well, I mean, if it's publicly traded, you can't really like sell
Well,
it.
because probably he bought out all the stock. He owns everything.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was just looking on their SEC filing or trying to see how many employees they had, and I can't come up with that info.
Well, if it was 3,700 fired and he fired half the company, it's like 7,000 employees, I would assume.
Yeah.
While you're looking at that, there's a big issue. Have you heard about the issue with the opiate settlements that are happening with CVS and Walgreens and
Yes and no. I mean, I didn't hear with the pharmacies in particular. I heard more with like the company Purdue, who made like OxyContin.
yeah, which is a big problem. They're not, claiming that they've done anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, CVS and Walgreens have both agreed to pay $5 billion to settle lawsuits nationwide.
But why?
Over
what
the
did they
toll
do?
of opiates.
But
Over
what
the
did they?
toll of
But they didn't
opiates.
prescribe the medication.
They
just
sold it.
Yeah, but because the doctors told them to.
I know, but when you're in a lawsuit, everybody
But
goes after
what
everybody.
did
I
they
have
do
to really
wrong?
get deep.
But what did they do wrong? I don't understand. Like
In the lawsuit, the governments are saying that the pharmacies filled prescriptions they should have flagged, right?
Okay, well that's different.
As inappropriate.
That's different. But like my question is this: like, what is the pharmacist supposed to do when it comes like, do they have to call in every prescription? Is that what they have to do? Like,
well, I think if somebody's coming in and they're getting, listen, if you get an OxyContin prescription, you've either had an operation, you suffer from pain, whatever. I don't think it's something you take the rest of your life. And people probably abuse it and get other prescriptions.
Sure, but there are cases where people get pain medication filled every month.
You'd have to really dig deep into this to see how it works. Basically, it says here under the tenant plan, CVS will pay $4.9 billion to local governments and about $130 million to Native American tribes over the next decade. Walgreens will pay $4.8 billion and $155 million to, I guess they're separate, Native American tribes over the next 15 years. And the exact amount all depends on how many governments join this deal. Now, obviously, where there's money involved.
Is this going to break these pharmacies, you think, Bruce?
There's a lot of insurance money being paid out. I don't know how much, but it seems like that's a lot of money.
Okay, so
I don't know how much money insurance groups pay.
How much is Walgreens paying?
$4.8 billion.
So Walgreens average gross reported income as a company in 2021 was 132.7 billion.
Okay, not that big of a dent.
No, that's not a lot of money at all. I think they'll be fine.
Was that income or was that profit?
I guess that was sales.
Okay, the average American company usually has a 7 to 10% is a lot. Around a 7 or 8% net profit. Call it 10%.
Okay.
So 10% of that figure is what?
13 billion.
Okay.
13.2.
So they're going to lose about a third to a half of their income. But it's going to be spread out over
That's
the
a
year.
drop. That's a drop in a bucket. That's
It's a drop in the bucket. It's a pain in the butt and a drop in the bucket.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, they're doing what they got to do. Exactly.
I just find it to be a little bit ridiculous if you're saying that on a massive scale these pharmacies should have been flagging prescriptions, because I mean, if you have a prescription from a doctor, to me it seems like the pharmacy's job is to fulfill the prescription.
I agree.
I don't know, because I mean, how can a pharmacy stay in business and be functional throughout the normal business hours if instead of filling prescriptions they're trying to verify the validity of them constantly? Like, yes, I understand you have to verify like that it's an actual doctor, but you do that probably electronically, right? You're not getting on the phone and being like, why is this person taking this medication? It seems unreasonable to be able to do that for every patient.
Well, these days you call the pharmacy and what do? You get a robot. Press 1 and put in your prescription number.
Yeah.
So no, you're not talking to a human being. So who knows?
No, every time I call for my son's prescription, not only do I have to talk to a robot, but I get routed to a call center that's somewhere else in the country, and then I have to ask them to be.
Hello, sir.
Well,
Hello,
they have to go ahead and like reroute me back to my original pharmacy. When it's like, dude, that's who I called to begin with.
You just reminded me of one thing. Are you getting inundated with these spam calls?
And,
and the spam texts, and the spam emails.
Right. Yeah.
It's Geek Squad, Facebook. They're all trying to get our information.
I don't get those. I get like, do you want to extend your car's warranty repeatedly over and over and over and over and over again?
Well, I get these calls and, it'll say spam. I like picking them up because when it's a live person, I like giving them the grill or having fun with it because they're criminals. Okay.
Well, not all of them.
Well, like I'll give you an example. Okay. The one person telling me, that I owed money or this and, need to whatever, I'll get the thing and I'll call the number and I'll talk to them, right? Just for the heck of it. When they're trying to collect money, you need to pay Geek Squad. You need to pay Facebook.
Yeah, that's just a straight up lie.
Yeah. It's so crazy. And I'll get, no offense to anybody who's of Indian nationality out there. I'm talking India,
but there's
nationality out there.
There have been a lot about the Indian scam call centers.
Phone rooms are either in the Philippines or they're, in India or.
Well, there's a lot of like genuine customer service that is routed through.
Absolutely, and they do a great job.
But
I had this one guy trying to get the money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Listen, buddy, you're a criminal. I'm going to report you to the FBI."
Yeah.
Give him the full 9 yards.
It doesn't matter.
His whole tone change. I said, "You're going to wind up in jail."
Oh,
He said, "Oh, good, because when I'm in jail and I see you, I'm going to F you in the ooh."
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah, they're fearless.
Fearless because they can't be tracked down.
Well, they can be tracked down. There's a phenomenal podcast called Reply All, and a gentleman named Alex Goldman found this person calling him from a Indian call center, and he actually met this person in India. Like, went over there and talked to them and tried to sort of get to the bottom of it. Yeah, like the government there obviously knows it's an issue, but kind of turns a blind eye to it as well, because it's such a the problem is you can make more money as a English speaking Indian national doing the scam call centers than you can working in a customer service or a place where you would get a job after going to 4 years of university. It's just, that's the sort of state that the economy is in there, and what the people are going to gravitate towards the higher paying jobs. Unfortunately,
I can appreciate that. All got to do what we got to do.
When they're preying upon people, though, that's the issue.
One of the worst things. I hate it because there's innocent people out there, especially the elderly who don't know any better.
What's amazing to me is, like, it's not even just the elderly. I will hear about people that are, in their 20s and 30s, just not understanding, like, that it's a scam, or believing or going along with it to the point where they're paying these debts that these people are saying to pay, but they have to do so via like iTunes gift cards and Google Play
Yeah,
gift
and
cards. It's like,
crypto, Bitcoin.
yeah, yeah. It's frustrating because I think smart people, for whatever reason, get caught up in doing things that makes them ultimate victims.
I agree. Well, listen, if you're smart in the United States this week, one thing you need to do, especially the women out there with everything that's on the ballots, you need to get out and vote. Need to get out
Yeah.
and vote this year. If you're an American citizen, there's plenty of reasons to vote. Just don't go in the voting booth and punch a bunch of buttons. I know if you're, I'm not Democrat, I'm not Republican. I've said it many times on the show. I'm basically what you call bipartisan. You know, may the best choice, the best man, the best woman win, in my opinion. I know if you're Democrat or Republican, a lot of them will just go in and just hit Republican, Republican, Republican holes, Democrat, Democrat, Democrat holes, whatever. The bottom line, and whatever your reasoning, know what you're voting for, vote for what you know you're voting for, and get out there and vote. It's your duty as an American citizen. And the female populace out there with the very important things that are on the ballots right now, and I'm sure you agree with me, TJ, I think it's very important that people get out and vote this week.
Oh, 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
it's your civic duty. You have the opportunity to do something that is very hard to do for every, single person elsewhere in the world. Our
Right.
democratic institution has sort of come under fire as of late. But go vote, be heard.
Exactly. Exactly. And one of the things that's happening here is that, which we've all talked about, what we think should be legalized in this country. And again, the federals, I wish the feds would just do it on a nationwide level instead of state by state, but at least it's coming up. Marijuana legalization now is on the ballot in Arkansas, Maryland, Missouri, North Dakota, and South Dakota.
Joe
So,
Biden did something along the lines of decriminalizing it federally to a certain extent. Can't remember what it was. It was about a month ago. I saw this. I'm looking at my Instagram. Oh, a scam's calling me right now. That's nice. I love my iPhone when it says "scam likely." You know what I mean? You get
what?
those.
Oh,
You
the
get those
scam
calls.
notice,
Yeah,
spam scan.
yeah, yeah. Let's see here. Where is it? Okay, so Biden to pardon all federal offenses of simple marijuana possession in first major steps towards decriminalization. This took place on Thursday, October 6th. So it's not necessarily broad decriminalization, but small baby steps on the federal level.
Yeah, totally. Baby steps, exactly. All right, let's go into sports and entertainment a little bit here. Oh, also, by the way, synthetic magic mushrooms, psilocybin mushrooms, they're slowly but surely I mean, there's a couple states that have already legalized them. I think Colorado's one of them. If I'm not
Synthetic? What do you mean synthetic?
well, it says synthetic. I'm going to get into
Because
that
that
subject.
means not natural, right?
No, no, no. Get back to natural mushrooms, which can
Mm-hmm.
be made into, the actual mushroom itself. Maybe synthetic stands for like when they make them into gummies, where they make them into other forms of things
See,
like
to
they do marijuana
me,
edibles.
I don't think that's the case. When I hear synthetic, I hear manufactured in a lab psilocybin, which is not the same thing.
I just looked at it here. They're saying a single dose of synthetic version of mind-altering component of magic mushroom, which is psilocybin.
Uh-huh.
They're really showing this is improving depression in people on a big note.
Sure. So,
And
but why not harvest the
I don't know.
psilocybin naturally?
Maybe again we're talking farmy. They want to be able to make it, package it, sell it.
Yeah,
You
but I
know,
mean, you do that by growing mushrooms. I don't understand why. See, like the thing is, if it's synthetic, it means it's man-made. It's artificial. I get worried about what components are going into that because
especially with fentanyl on the scene and everything else.
I'm not. Fentanyl's a whole different thing. Like
Yeah,
there's some media circusry about people aren't putting in fentanyl to random things just to do so.
I hope
Uh,
not. I hope
they're
not.
they're
I know it's
not,
it's
Bruce.
in
They're
cocaine and
not.
stuff like that, but I hope not.
I don't believe that's true either. I really don't.
Well, we've had a friend of the show that's been on the show. She OD'd on it.
Yeah, but like,
She wasn't
I
snorting fentanyl. She was snorting cocaine that was laced with fentanyl.
but why would anybody do that other than to try to kill you? Drug dealers don't kill people on purpose.
Well, roundabout ways they do, but yeah,
But here's the
they want
thing.
continued business.
Yes, but you don't get continued business by killing someone by putting fentanyl in cocaine. You
All
kill
right. Well,
them.
this synthetic mushroom is called Comp
Sorry.
360. They've already got a thing on it. So I'm trying to find here about fentanyl. I'd love to answer that question. I should have prepared this a little bit more.
Well, there's a media circus about fentanyl. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like the idea that your kids are going to go out and go trick or treating and come home with fentanyl. No.
Here it says fentanyl is used for anesthesia. That was the actual pain medication.
Right.
Illicitly, as a recreational drug, it's being mixed with heroin, cocaine,
Sure.
benzodiazepines, which I guess is amphetamine,
Benzodiazepine. Yeah.
and methamphetamine, which
Okay.
is meth.
Sure.
And also, they're finding it's used as counterfeit pills, which are disguised as Oxycontin. That's one of the big problems. I know that Oxycontin,
Right.
Xanax, and Adderall.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
being mixed.
Generally, it's not being mixed without your understanding that it's laced with something. Like people that do drugs that OD because they didn't know it was in there. Yeah, but someone along the line did. Because that's the thing too. Like, I mean, fentanyl, like you said, there are medical uses for it. Is it being exploited? Sure, to a certain extent, absolutely. But like again, my sort of upset with the media is the idea that your kids are going to go out trick or treating and come home with fentanyl pills because they're made to look like candy.
Well, that
Every
reminds me of the razor blades and the apples. Remember when we were
that also
kids?
never really happened either.
Never really happened. Yeah.
No. And like the thing is people are like, oh, look at these pills. They look like candy. You look at every pill, even if it's white, can be mistaken for an Altoid. All pills look like candy.
Exactly. No, I agree. I agree. You know what? We need to get an expert on the show. I'd like to get an expert on the show that can give us a little more education.
I mean, we still have Dr. Drew's number. It's been a while since we had him on the show.
It'd be great to have him on the show. We should contact him. Let's see what we can do. But speaking of drugs, on Denzel Washington's movie, the new Equalizers he's doing, right? One of the on-set caterers, who's working on the movie, basically they seized a bunch of cocaine on the film set. All right. The drug. What happened is it was a response to a sudden death. The movie production's head of catering, a 55-year-old man, collapsed.
Okay.
Right, and he died of a heart attack. And when they found him, they found several bags of cocaine in his pockets, which led to a whole search of the movie set.
Okay.
And they found approximately 120 grams of cocaine. Right.
So it was somebody was like dealing then, essentially.
Probably, not saying anything bad about Denzel or anything like that. I'm just saying, and it didn't stop the movie's production, but this is in Italy, and they probably took it damn seriously, and they raided the whole hotel,
right?
And they found 120 grams.
I mean, what that tells you is somebody probably had the hookup, and they were hooking people up at work.
Well, yeah, that, and it also tells me that the caterers work late. So
hey, unfortunately, Bruce, we all seem to, for better or for worse, we all do things that we need to do to get us through tougher times. Sometimes it's substances, other times it's vices, other times it's for me it's energy drinks, right? Like I love a good energy drink.
Yeah, well, you'll get a good energy, you'll get a real good energy drink very soon.
That's what I'm saying. Unfortunately, and that's I think the real issue, going back to the opiate problem that we have in this country. You have these
no fentanyl, no sugar.
Where's my case, Buff? Where's
my taurine?
But I will say this about the opiate stuff is I think a lot of it starts with people getting on pills, the Oxycontins of the world, and then they can't get it through their pharmacists. And then what do? Well, then they graduate to heroin, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is unfortunate, and also unfortunate too. Obviously suffering from major drug substance abuse issues, but Aaron Carter died at age 34.
I saw that.
Very tragic. It's been a tragic. Everything in the news about this young man has been tragic, reported as of late.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. My condolences go out to his friends and family and his loved ones.
Unfortunately, and again, this is all, a very tough time for that family. And I'm not saying I saw this coming or anything like that, but like Aaron Carter has been sort of a tortured individual who's dealt with these issues in the past, and you could see that.
Never wish anything like that on him.
Oh, absolutely not. No. I think it's a reminder, and I'm not saying that he took his own life or anything like that. I'm not making any sort of accusations or assumptions. I still think we don't know exactly what led to him passing in his bathtub. But I will say this: when you see someone hurting or struggling, like instead of laughing and pointing a finger or just turning the other way, lean into it a little bit. If there's someone you care about, see if they're okay.
Yeah. Give him the time. Give him the time.
Yeah.
TJ, you're a big wrestling fan. Over the years.
You always say
I always say that, but you've enjoyed wrestling. I need your help on something.
I produce a wrestling podcast. I watched when I was a kid. That's the exact.
Okay. So you watched the kid, the wrestler Kevin Von Erich.
Yes. I'm actually very familiar with the Von Erich story.
Okay. Well, they're making it into a movie.
Right. As they should. So do you know the Von Erich story?
Pardon me?
Do you know the Von Erich family's history in pro wrestling?
No, I do not.
So Fritz von Erich was the patriarch of the family. Think similar to the Gracies, right? He was the Elio Gracie of the family. Pro wrestling in the 80s in Dallas. He had 4 sons. Of the 4, only one remains alive today. One was poisoned or had like a stomach poisoning. Another, I think 2 others killed themselves. And then Kevin's the last remaining member.
Oh, wow. Interesting. I'm going to send you a picture. Take a look at this. And hold on. Because the man playing him is Zac Efron.
Yeah, that's a good look. That's a perfect look.
Look at it. Look at the look. Look at the look. You can put this on the show. Look at the look. He has really worked at. He looks just like exactly like him. Look at this.
Yeah, I mean that's as soon as you said Zac Efron, I thought that would be a good look. He's a little more bulky than
yeah, in the
Kevin.
center area. I see that.
Yeah,
too.
Kevin's a little more cut, but yeah, no, that's a good casting.
Well, Zac Efron's actually an excellent actor. I remember when he played Ted Bundy and some other stuff. He's a friend. I'm going to contact him. Let's get him on the show. We'll talk about this movie and more. So I'm going to make a note of this right now.
Sure.
Let's go into some sports here. Congratulations, Tom Brady. He had a dramatic victory this weekend. Dropped an F-bomb at his post-press conference, which is kind of unheard of for Tom Brady. But I think this year we've seen a lot of unheard of things with Tom Brady. But he's the first ever quarterback in the NFL to reach 100,000 passing yards. TJ,
that's unbelievable.
It's just unbelievable.
Who's even close?
No, it's crazy.
Yeah,
good for him, the GOAT. And the Colts fired their coach, Frank Reich.
Yeah, I saw that this morning
with a 3-5-1 start. I guess the Raiders are probably God knows what they're thinking. What's with the Raiders? Jeez,
I don't know about.
But you know what's really happening? The Birds, Philadelphia Eagles, 8-0. There's not a better team in football, TJ.
No, apparently it's going to be Philly versus Minnesota in that NFC Championship game again.
Yeah, well, we still we're only halfway through the season. We still got another half season to go, but they're definitely going to be in the playoffs. And Philly lost to the Houston Astros in the World Series, and the Astros made history with the first World Series no-hitter in 66 years, but
it was combined.
We've got to understand there wasn't one pitcher that did that. There were 3 pitchers in the game.
Combined. Still the only no-hitter in World Series history since that time or whatever.
Yeah, it's
combined really no-hitter it's not as impressive as one person throwing a no-hitter, but still incredibly impressive.
Quite an achievement. Congratulations to the Astros. MSU and Michigan State, 4 more Spartans were suspended over the post-game brawl. I don't get this, TJ. Come on. You got common sense. You don't do this. We're seeing professional athletes throwing punches at fans. We're seeing these collegiate athletes. We're seeing pee-wee football,
which
parents going crazy.
Let's be honest. When you're at the high level of college football, like Michigan and Michigan State are, like for all intents and purposes, you're a pro athlete. You should be conducting yourself as a professional athlete because
absolutely
you have the opportunity to do so. You need to start living that life before you at least conducting yourself. And living that life before you get to the pro ranks. But something does need to be done there. I guess it's through functionality. Both teams have to walk through the tunnel at the same time. There isn't one dedicated tunnel for one team and another for the other. But clearly something needs to be done because I'm not saying that you should have to worry about this sort of thing happening. But, against rivals, in-state rivals, maybe you want to have them separated as much as possible.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of separation, it's not a separation. It's a unity between 2 brothers, but separate in the sports that they're involved in. This weekend was a big weekend for Logan and Jake Paul. Logan Paul came out at the WWE event. I got to tell you, man, I think wrestling is this man's call. He does a great job. You see some of the stuff Logan Paul's doing in the ring?
I've seen him wrestle before. I didn't see this match in particular.
Well, he busted up his knee. He tore his MCL and he ripped up his meniscus.
Yeah, I mean that'll happen. It's a sport.
Yep. And Roman Reigns, is that his name? That was his opponent.
Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns. That was his opponent. So they had an exciting thing, and Logan seems very excited. They did it in Dubai. I could just imagine the amount of money or the paycheck Logan got this weekend, and good for him. Good for him. I mean, he's boxed. He's out there. He's doing his thing. I have nothing but admiration for Logan at this point. You know, whatever happened in the past, happened in the past. But, you know, the guy's out there doing it and doing it in a big way. Now, his brother did it on Saturday night against our beloved Anderson Silva. Did you
Yeah.
happen to watch the match?
I saw most of it.
And
I mean, he beat him. Sure.
yeah, was he beat up? I did not see it. Was he beating him? I saw the knockdown. Was he beating him all through?
It was close. I mean, it was a competitive fight, the most competitive fight of Jake Paul's career thus far. I thought that Anderson probably needed a knockout to win the fight in the final round. Obviously, Anderson was dropped. It wasn't a case of Anderson being hurt badly. He was definitely dropped. He was caught off guard. But I mean, you know, solid performance by Jake. A lot of people, I think, are a little more sensitive to this one that are MMA fans than you know, the Woodley losses and the Askren loss. But the bottom line is, like, again, Anderson Silva's not a spring chicken. He gave Jake Paul probably the stiffest fight of his career thus far, and Jake got his hand raised, and he's calling out Canelo and all sorts of stuff.
Well, I got nothing bad to say about Jake Paul. He's out there doing it. He's making his money. The pay-per-view buys weren't what they expected. It was probably a rough day for pay-per-view. And the best time he said to have a pay-per-view is in the summer when there's not a lot of sports on TV.
But Jake Paul doesn't draw on pay-per-view. I hate to say it. I think that's the case. He's a draw as far as eyeballs are concerned in general, you know, news cycles and social media circles and whatnot. But the idea of Jake Paul being a huge pay-per-view box office hit, like, it's not there.
Well, now he's, you know, calling two names out, and they're very separate in their boxing abilities.
Right.
Canelo Alvarez, who's a lot smaller than Jake Paul.
Right.
We're talking a 30, 40-pound weight difference. Nate Diaz, where there's not that much of a weight pound difference, but let's talk about the boxing ability. Not that Nate's not an ability to box, but I'm going to ask you real quick, theoretically, Jake Paul and Nate Diaz go at it?
Nate's a really good MMA boxer. I don't know what that looks like in straight boxing. I tend to think that Nate would give him every bit of fight that he could, because that's who Nate Diaz is. He's not going away anytime soon. But gun to my head, while my heart is pulling for Nathan Diaz, I would lean towards Jake Paul, because he's also going to be a lot bigger too than Nate. Jake's you know, just bigger through the frame. So you know, gun to my head, I wouldn't want to bet Jake Paul to win, but I would make him a favorite for sure.
All right, another one of our beloved UFC fighters, most handsome man in the world, or one of them, Paulo Costa. He's got, what does he have, maybe one or two more bouts or whatever. He's publicly already saying when the UFC contract's over, he's going to go into boxing.
Okay.
Good for him.
I mean,
we'll see you back in the octagon, Paulo.
I love it when mixed martial arts fight mixed martial arts, you know, mixed martial artists fight mixed martial arts, but I'm never going to be upset if someone wants to go out there and try to make more money or do whatever they want to do.
No, he'll get a big payday.
But at the end of the day, like, I probably wouldn't watch. I hate to say it. I'm not trying to be mean. I don't care too much. Like, I want to see the best fighters in the world apply their craft accordingly, and Paulo Costa is one of the best middleweights in mixed martial arts.
Well, I think if Paulo faces Jake, right?
Why?
That could produce some numbers.
Would it?
Could. I think it could.
I don't think so.
I think a lot of MMA
Anderson Silva, Bruce, is the greatest middleweight to ever grace the world of mixed martial arts. And
the
that
age difference, though, made a difference.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Bruce. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I love Paulo Costa. He's not as big of a deal as Anderson Silva. Even in Anderson's advanced age, he's not. And
I'm not disagreeing with you there. I'm just thinking if it works out, Paulo goes out, gets $1 million guarantee from whatever promoter wants to put up that kind of money.
If he can go do it, great.
Grab it.
Go take it. I'm never going to be mad at Paulo Costa for getting money and getting paid.
No,
but
grab
again, it's frustrating to me, though, that he might not fight mixed martial arts.
I see it as a one-off, and he's right back in the octagon if they'll take him back. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows anything? Who knows? We're all conjecturing. You know, you're bald. You look like a crystal ball. You tell me what to say.
Hey,
it's a compliment. I'm just trying to make some funny stuff here. It's all good. I wasn't putting it down. You got a better dome than I got, TJ, and you know it.
I mean, it's bright.
It's bright. It's bright. Come on, get that thing a little white, will you? Polish that thing up.
I wasn't talking about color. I was just saying I'm smart, Buff.
No, it looks good. Looks good. Okay, enough of the vanity here. Okay, let's go to the Daily Star in the UK. Paddy Pimblett posted a picture of when he met me in England 11 years ago.
Yep.
And it's so reminiscent of the first time I ever met Conor McGregor during the first UFC we ever had in Dublin, when a young, like 19, and I've told this on the show before, a 19-year-old or so Conor McGregor walked up to me and said, "My name is Conor McGregor. I'm going to be champion someday. Remember my name. You're going to say it." Right? Same thing happened with Patty. Patty, I didn't remember this. I look at it and it does come back and it totally stands out in my head. But 11 years ago, and look at this young picture of him and me, and then look at him today. And again, this is a pure example, like I say on the show, at the end of the show, be the best you can be, follow your dreams, set your goals, write them down, and then you're winning. And this kid has the incentive, the intestinal fortitude to monetize what he's passionate about, which is fighting. And look where he's at today. He's 4 fights in. He's got 2.2 million Instagram followers due to his popularity. He's already signed $1 million sponsorship deal, not counting anything he makes from the UFC. So it's really, really cool for me to have shared this moment with him 11 years ago and then to take a look at it today. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, no, good for him. It's crazy. You never know who you're going to meet just casually on any day. And in your case, Buff, every picture you take of a young man or woman, it might be a future UFC champion.
Well, one comment I like is 11 years ago, I haven't aged, but Patty has. I found that funny. And yes, I've aged, folks. I'm 11 years older. It's as simple as that. All right, let's talk about UFC 281, Madison Square Garden, MSG, big show. Israel Adesanya, Alex Pereira, Zhang Weili, Carlos Esparza, Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler. We've been waiting for this fight for so long.
Did you look at the archive I posted last week?
No.
Guess who was on the archive? Who? I had no recollection of this. We interviewed Michael Chandler, and then on the backside was Dustin, and they had crosstalk on the show.
Are you kidding? I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was on the archive you posted last week, right?
Yeah. So when I was going through the archive, I found that show that had both of them. So I was like, perfect. That'll be the show that week. And yeah, kind of crazy.
That's crazy. Okay, cool. I'm going to catch that. I'll watch it later today when I'm working. I got to prepare the UFC fight cards. I have to leave Wednesday night. You're leaving tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm taking a red eye. I'm landing into New York at JFK.
We talked about this. You're going all over the place, right? You got
I got a 3-hour drive up to Connecticut. I'll be appearing at the Mohegan Sun Thursday night for Thursday Night Football. So this show will be posted on Thursday, though. If you're listening, I will be at the Mohegan Sun tonight. Come on down, say hi. It's a puncher's chance appearance. Let's have a shot together. Not too many. I got a show to do in 2 days, but I'll definitely enjoy myself with you.
Is that the closest you can get to Mohegan via commercial flight?
No, I could fly into Boston, Newark, or JFK, but I got to drive. It's still a 2-hour drive.
That's what I'm saying. Is that the closest? Is that the
closest you can get? Okay. Closest you can get. Yeah. Mohegan Sun has the largest sports book and casino in the world.
Really?
Largest poker room. I know that. And it's one of the largest casinos in the world.
Wow.
Like expansive wise.
Crazy.
I haven't been there since we did a UFC there many years ago. So, and I remember that UFC, and I remember I suffered I had 103-degree temperature.
Oh, dang.
One of the shows, I forget which one, but I was very sick.
Wow.
Nobody knew. Nobody knew. I collapsed after the show. I was done.
Dang.
I remember John McCarthy was pushing me to take fluids. The paramedics wanted to put an IV bag in me. I go, don't even touch me. Don't talk to me till after the show, and then we'll get all this done.
It's amazing what you do to get your job done.
Hey, like Dana White said, you got to shoot me to keep me out of the octagon. I think I've proven that more than once.
Please don't anyone take that literally.
It's a mental attitude. Don't take it literally. I shoot back. Okay, so now Frankie Edgar, Chris Gutierrez. Frankie Edgar. What can you say?
He was on a
Is he like the Iron Man of the UFC? I mean, is he becoming like the longest running fighter in the UFC?
That's a great question. I mean, Andrei Arlovski's still under contract, so I think he's that right now. But beyond that, Frankie's been there for a minute.
Let's yes, Frankie Edgar goes back to UFC 67, right?
Yeah.
In 2007.
Right.
He's been fighting in the octagon for 15 years.
What's Arlovski at? UFC 28?
Well, I think I would bet Arlovski is definitely probably the longest standing.
Yeah.
No, I
mean,
when you really
There's
think
no
about
question about it. It goes Bruce Buffer, Andrei Arlovski.
Yeah. Hey, 27 years from me come February.
Yeah.
Okay, Adesanya, Alex Pereira. I know he knocked him down, beat him in kickboxing. What's up? What do you think?
Beat him twice. Once by decision.
I thought it was once. Beat him twice.
Once by decision, one by knockout. Talking to Longo about this last week, he thought that Pereira, poses some obvious issues. He owns the win. But one thing I will say, and Ray agreed, was that we already talked about a little bit with Nate Diaz potentially boxing Jake Paul. There are MMA styles of striking and then pure styles of striking.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Adesanya can go for a takedown does change the narrative a little bit. Not that Izzy's a guy who's shooting double legs from the outside, but just the factor that it could happen, and vice versa too, changes everything in the dynamic between these two men. Don't be surprised if we see a new middleweight champion come Saturday night in New York City, but Izzy is still undefeated in mixed martial arts at middleweight. Yes, he lost the fight to Blachowicz. He's the best 185 pounder in the world, and if I had to pick, I pick Adesanya to walk out Madison Square Garden, the middleweight champion of the UFC. But we'll see what happens over the course of 25 minutes. I think it will go every single second of that fight. Might not be the most entertaining fight at times, because when you have matchups like this that are super high stakes, they become tactical at times, and I think Izzy's going to have to be tactical to win this fight.
Absolutely. And the betting odds are Izzy's minus 180, Pereira up plus 143. So you bet 100, you win $143.
If I was betting the fight, I'd probably go Pereira, honestly.
Yeah,
but I'm not betting the fight. I'm just picking with my gut. So
Weili Zhang, Carla Esparza. Esparza is the champion. She's almost a 3-1 underdog. You bet Weili Zhang, you're minus 370.
Yeah.
You bet Carla, you bet $100, you win 273. She's plus 273 as the champion.
Yeah.
Weili rather has a interesting takedown. Do you see her pick up Francis Ngannou in a double legger?
I mean,
285 pounds. Yeah. She went and picked him up and walked him on her shoulder.
It's crazy, right?
A powerful, powerful woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dustin Poirier, minus 225. Chandler, plus 176.
I like Dustin in this fight, but I like this fight.
I don't bet fights, but I always say when you get underdog odds like that, I mean, that's the only way to bet a fight.
Yeah, I like Dustin in this fight, but I like Dustin big in this fight.
Speaking of which, a guy won 70, was it on the World Series? A man reportedly won 71 million, give or take, on the Houston Astros.
That's
71 million.
That's crazy.
I mean, maybe he bet at the beginning of the season, but that's crazy. Some people.
Yeah, how much you put down? How much you put down to win that money?
I don't know. I'd have to look at the story. I think my brother sent it to me.
Well, a lot of money in a prop bet. That's what I'm saying. A lot.
Yeah, let me see. Brian sent me that story.
Too much money in a prop bet. It's like how?
Yeah.
What?
I haven't
other
time
money
to look
did
at.
He lose? You know what I mean? So
good luck to him. You know what? He doesn't have to play Powerball, so he's doing well.
I bet you still bought a ticket or two.
Yeah, and Patty fights in like 5 weeks, but Molly McCann's coming in. Without Patty on the card. Molly McCann's in the fight. She's here fighting Erin Blanchfield.
Yeah.
Molly in the blue corner. Dominic Reyes is fighting Ryan Spann. Brad Riddell back against Renato Moicano. And Dan Hooker. Always a pleasure to watch Dan against Claudia Puelles. I'm not that familiar with Claudia. No offense taken. And Karolina
Kovacevic.
I was just going to say it. Kovacevic. I almost had it. I had it. Okay.
Sorry.
Against Silvana Gomez Juarez. This is a hell of a card. There's no question.
Good fight card. And you got to bring it when you go to MSG. And, credit to Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby for doing just that.
Got to give it to him. Got to give him. Thanks for the pressure. I will be sure to roar my buns off Saturday night.
Heard back trying to not let the cat out of the bag, but I did hear that it's possible that we'll get Patty Pimblett next week.
Make it happen, Captain. Let's get him on. We'll talk about Molly's fight and the whole bit. All right, TJ, we're going to bounce out. The host for the 2023 Oscars, Jimmy Kimmel, takes the dais. Good for him. Should be interesting. Get back to the Oscars with a crowd, without any COVID issues whatsoever. And let's see, movie-wise, have you seen any good movies lately?
I
saw Black Adam.
I haven't seen it. I don't know what that is.
Very enjoyable. CGI fest of, special effects. The Rock doing his thing as he always does it so well. If you're a superhero fan, definitely go see Black Adam. And it's really a spectacle. It's the kind of film you want to see in the movie theater for sure. I went to the dine-in theater. I love those dine-ins, with the chairs that go back and the whole bit. I mean, they're expensive, but it's an awfully fun, comfortable way to watch a movie. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of that sort of all inclusive feel a little bit. You know what I mean? So it's the
Exactly.
experience. And there's
TJ,
just certain movies you got to see in that theater. You know?
you have to big spectacles, whether it's Top Gun, you name it, but you have to if it's your choice. Unless you got the big 85-inch screen at home and the sound system working, go enjoy it. TJ, you're flying out to New York. Are you staying at the UFC hotel?
Yep.
Okay, well then let's say hi. I'll see you there. I'll be there Friday afternoon. Um, all good, all good. Anything to report before we sign off?
Nope, that's it, man. I'll be out there. I believe Dave and Buster's in Times Square on both Friday and Saturday, ahead of the UFC with my show Extra Rounds. Going to be hanging out with Rage and Al Quinta. So if you want to come out and meet Al and say hi, I know you, TJ, from the Bruce Buffer Show, and it's time.
Hey,
I'd
meet Al,
appreciate
say
that.
hi, get an autograph, and if you're looking for a house in Jersey, make sure you talk to Al Quinta.
Not in Jersey, in Long Island, but
Oh,
same
Long
difference.
Island. Pardon me.
Yeah, yeah.
Pardon
That's
me.
all right. That's all right.
Right. Shoot me in the head. Okay. All right, TJ. Aside from that, I've got my appearance at Mohegan. I'll be in the Octagon on Saturday. Looking forward to this. This is my only show I'm doing in November. This is it. And then I'll be back in the Octagon December 3rd and December 10th. And we'll do it there. TJ, pleasure as always. I will see you next week. Let's get Patty the Batty on the show. Have a fun show with him next week. Everybody, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Be the best you can be. Set your goals. Be a role model to your sphere of influence. Write your goals down. Make sure you know everything about them. So when you sit on that yellow brick path of road to success, to the future of your life, you perform at the best, you be the best, because then you're winning. And that's what we're all about on It's Time Radio. Be honest, be respectful, be winning, and be a role model in the society in which we live in. Stay safe, everybody. Have a great week, and I will see you next week. And I'll see you from the Octagon on Saturday. Big cheers, no fears. Buffer out.